Here we go. What an absolutely amazing film. And it's funny because I saw it when it first came out, and then obviously we just watched it again then. And I've forgotten, it's actually an amazing portrait of a person, isn't it? It's much more than a film like running. And you were saying before about, was it Nick Brown who produced it, and how he'd actually managed to tell the story so well, and he really had. I have to ask though, there were no diva moments in that. Did you have any full-on mental, like losing it moments where you probably lost your temper but didn't get caught on camera?
No.
You can't be perfect.
No,
you can't be perfect.
I usually snap at my support. Somebody usually gets in my way or hands me the wrong stuff, or usually getting in my way is not great, or asking me if I want to eat something when I don't, which is most of the time. But I tend to go into a bit of a sulk when I'm having a bit of a bad time. So I probably did that quite a bit on that. From Svekeld back to Keswick, before I had the sleep, that was a fairly foul night.
It seems, I feel like one of the reasons why you connect so well with people, because you really do. I mean, you have such a powerful kind of impact on people, and you really do motivate people incredibly well. And I feel like there's this, you come across as so remarkably normal, yet achieving something so remarkably not normal. And it's a fascinating contrast, because and in fact all of your crew and your team there, they just looked again. Everybody was so, well done lass, off you go, and everyone was just so kind of nice and down to earth. And how much did you consciously surround yourself with people who kind of shared that mentality that you have of being pretty relaxed about it?
Yeah, so over the years you sort of learn, everyone wants to be nice support. You get a lot of offers of support, but some people just naturally aren't very good at it. And so now I've got a sort of crew of what I call the elite support. So not only are they're just naturally good at it, I mean, they all want to help you, but some people are just so disorganised they can hardly get themselves to anywhere on time with the right stuff. So to try and get themselves to even the beginning of your leg and then support you on the legs is just impossible with the best will in the world. And then there's just lots to support. It's a really big team effort. So yeah, I do surround myself with them, and I put the people on the legs. I don't know if you noticed, but everyone was supporting one way and then the other way. So the same three lads supported me from Dunmail to Wasdale, and then they had like an hour's rest, and then they supported me back again. And so it was great doing it that way, because actually it shut them up a little bit. So climbing up Scarfell, not only was I thinking, oh God, I've got another 5 hours to do, but they had big packs on again, and they had another 5 hours to do. So when Glenn says he's aged when he gets to Dunmail, it's because he's been Dunmail, Wasdale and back again, which is quite a big ask for support. If you think just doing like one of the shorter legs was hard, actually
shorter legs?
Yeah.
That's the hardest leg, someone told me.
Leg 5 is the shortest.
It's the kid's leg. I'm sure in a lot of people's thoughts out there in the question, in fact, I was chatting to a fellow Hyper Harrier in the interval, and I think and her question I thought was very good, and it was a big go through a lot of people's head. Why did you do it the way you did it? So I think going into it, a lot of people would have thought you're either going to do 2 laps, or you can do 1 lap, turn around and go back the other way, or something like that. But it was an interesting, and it showed in the map, but you didn't really discuss it in the film.
So Roger did it like that, but that was because he had to work on the Friday, so he drove up on the Friday night, set off at midnight. So he went round, he set off at midnight, going clockwise. At that time, Dark Peak was setting off going anti-clockwise Saturday morning, and he had the idea of meeting up with them in Wasdale and then completing the rest of that loop with them. And then doing the rest. Yeah, so it all started out, I sort of looked at the way that Roger did it and thought, that's bonkers. I don't need to do it like that because I'm self-employed and I don't have to work Friday, Monday. But also then when I looked at it doing it that way, the normal sort of way, because Roger had done a clockwise and an anti-clockwise, I thought there's no rules as such, well we've just made them, but I thought I had to do a clockwise and an anti-clockwise to follow in his footsteps. But then when I looked at actually the logistics of it, it was definitely better to do it the way that he did it. It put Helvellyn in the dark on the second night, which is the best place to be in the dark, really, because doing one and then the other would have put me on Scafell in the dark on the second night, which wouldn't have been great, or anywhere, somewhere else horrible, depending on what I did. It also meant that my support only had to go to Wasdale once, and then, you know, I was there, I was back, and then they could pack up and leave Wasdale, because it's a bit of a pig to get to. So I think it was that, combined with, I mean, the Scafell area, all those harder, rockier hills. I mean, Great Gable's fairly rocky, but Scafell's worse.
It did, I think, if I've got it right, mean you'd done about 85 or 90 miles of the whole thing and hadn't even done one Bob Graham round yet. Because
Yeah.
you'd kind of done a long out and back, hadn't you? And so then you were so far in, and I think I heard it in an interview with you when I was listening to one earlier today. In your words, not mine, you hadn't even really achieved anything yet.
No. Again, I was playing with my own mind. I knew I could do 30 hours, which is what Keswick, back out and back to Keswick would be, about 30 hours. Yeah, so I knew I could do that, and then I was just thinking I would just tag on another 18 hours on top of that. And it sort of backfired a little bit on me, because when I got to Keswick, I didn't think I could do any more. I was coming off Skiddaw, coming into Keswick. And as I go past the Moot Hall, I just wanted to stop and touch it. But I knew, what had I achieved? I hadn't done anything. I'd just run for a very long time. But I wouldn't get a certificate or anything.
So you're just doing it for the certificate?
You only get one Bob Graham certificate, so. But no, and I positioned Charmy in the other side of the Moot Hall, because I knew if she was before the Moot Hall, it would be playing on my mind that I'd have to go past the Moot Hall. So, yeah, and I looked back at the cameraman, because as soon as I didn't want him to follow me, because I was that near in tears, and I just cried all the way down the road and into the camper van. And that's why they don't catch me, because I was just doing a runner into the camper van in tears. I don't know, I just thought I couldn't go on. And I don't know why. That was the confusing thing I was running through it in my head. Well, your legs are fine and your stomach's not bad. What is the matter with you? And then somebody was suggesting the power nap, and that's what I had. And it was miraculous.
But how long was it?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And I did dream of ice cream. a big tub, you know how you're not allowed, and you're dipping in and eating it out the tub.
Was that that wasn't your entire sleep, was it, for the whole 45 hours and 30 minutes? 10 minutes?
10 minutes, yeah.
That's remarkable. I mean, that is remarkable. I mean,
yeah.
You might not realise how remarkable, we realise how remarkable that is. I was struck by how many really great runners, fell runners, great people there were supporting you there, excited, from Roger and Joss and Jasmine Paris, and there were loads of people there. How did that feel? I mean, you're really humble and you're really modest, and you're just out for a run, and you've got all these kind of legends really passionate about it. I mean, you couldn't, they weren't acting, they were ridiculously passionate and excited and enthusiastic and emotional. I thought we were going to get tears out of Joss Naylor near the end there. I mean, it was amazing. How did that make you feel?
Well, I hadn't told Joss, because I didn't know whether I could do it, so I was having a job convincing myself whether I could do it, so I didn't tell very many people at all. Until I was in the Lake District, and it was too late. Nobody could ask me loads of questions and question what I was doing when I was questioning it enough myself. So when I'm running down and I see Joss, it's a total surprise. I really didn't know he was going to be there. Charmaine had told him. And then, so that gave me a bigger belief in myself at that point. But I think it's the whole running community. I've supported, hundreds of rounds, and I was ready to give advice to people and say, go on. You'll never think you're totally ready for a round. There's always something that's gone wrong in your training or your sleep or recceing or something. You need to just have that confidence that you have to set off. This is the time, the weather's good, you've got your support, just go and see what happens.
And so I think your PB is 18 hours, I think, for one. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, 1806.
1806. And you've averaged 22 and 45, 30, so 22, 45 for two, kind of, for that. Does that mean the first 22 hours just felt easy? Like, it was 4 hours slower than you could do it? And I know it's not quite apples for apples, but how much were you holding back knowing that you had the double the distance?
Yeah, it was quite nice, actually. It did feel quite easy. When I was climbing U-Barrow out of Wasdale, I kept thinking, I can't believe my legs haven't started complaining yet. But on the way back down, I couldn't look at Gable. My brain was not having it. It was like, don't look, because there's all that Gable and over on that side. So, yeah, I couldn't really take it in what I was doing. But yeah, the first go, until we got to Threckeld, and even then my legs still felt fairly fine. But I think when you're in the dark on that second night, you just get that, you've got your head torch, you just feel like a zombie. Your eyes were shutting. I was looking at pictures of like grass, thinking I could go to sleep there, like the support was steering me back on course. And then my stomach, that second night was just horrible, that from Threckeld. But most of the time my legs felt, in fact, all the way to the end. When I'm puffing, I'm trying to make time back up because I started losing a bit, and then because I started feeling sick doing that, I thought there's no point. You've got this in the bag so long as you don't break a leg or something, so just be sensible. And usually when I got to about Honister, I actually thought I'd cracked it. So that's why it does look a bit like a carnival, because it sort of was. Even though I was nobody sees a nosebleed either, because you could just see a bit on my, but every now and again I get this bloody horrible nosebleed with tissue stuffed up my nose and just generally not very pleasant.
I think there are bogies in the film.
Yeah, but yeah.
How did it feel when it's really symbolic, touching Moot Hall at the end, and you'd said, I think, you weren't going to touch it beforehand because you were told that's not the done thing really to touch it beforehand. You were touch it at the end, and that must be quite a moment, when you spent however many months or years wondering and mulling it over in your head and thinking about it, and suddenly you touch it and it's done.
Yeah.
What was that moment like?
Huge sort of relief, but a joy at the same time. Yeah. And I couldn't believe how many people were there. I was running up to the Moot Hall thinking, I can't sort of see it. Move out the way, somebody. It's like, help. But yeah, to touch it, no, it was fantastic. I just sort of think about it, and then if anyone does Bob Brown, there's a sign about 2 miles out that says Keswick 1 mile, and it's not, it bloody lies. So when I got to this sign, I looked at my watch, I thought, oh yeah, I'm on for 45 and a half hours, and it's like 1 mile went past, and so that's why I was sprinting up. So I was really, I don't know, it's this stupid thing you get in your head when you think, I want 45 and a half hours, and when I looked at my watch, I was like, phew, I did it, yes.
And we were chatting beforehand, because it was really big, it made huge news in the running community, and a really, really exciting thing. But you told me a wonderful story before we started tonight about, I think, was it the Monday or the Tuesday when you were kind of back at work?
Yeah. So on the Monday, I drove myself home, and Lee Proctor from Innovate was like, "Oh, please, Nicky, talk to this person and that person." So Lancaster Services, I was talking to people. Got home. Steve's like, "Right, we've got cattle to go to the market tomorrow." It's like, "Oh, yeah, okay." So next day, get up, go to Home First Market. I'm there eating my pie and peas, looking around thinking nobody's going to ask me about the double Bob Graham. They don't know.
And that's a wonderful thing, right? It's just to be able to slip back into that normality.
Yeah, I mean, I think more and more farmers are realising that I'm a bit of a runner, but I think they think I don't work hard enough. I've got that spare energy.
Right, let's open it to the floor for some questions, and we'll come back. I'm desperate to talk to you about the Berkeley Marathons, and we chatted about it beforehand, and I'm sure people listening here are excited to hear about that. But let's keep it double Bob Graham for the moment. Let's open up to the floor and take some questions from you guys. I'm sure you've got some things going around in your head that you'd like to chat about. Come on, don't be shy. I can't have asked them all. Over there on my left.
I just wanted to ask, what sort of training can you seriously do for something like this?
Yeah.
I'll just repeat that for the recording. So great question. How do you train for something like this?
For the double Bob Graham, my training didn't go really to plan. The winter before was actually quite one of those horrible wet, windy, snowy winters. So I was quite stressed when I actually started it that I hadn't done enough, because there isn't so much you can do. Back-to-back days in the hills are what I like to do, sort of 10 hours Saturday and Sunday, and then maybe a little bit on a Monday if you can get that time in. But no, you can't actually go out and do the total distance or the climb, because that will take you another 6 or 8 weeks to recover from that. So I tend to do quite long, like the Wadsworth Trog was always it's local to me, local to here. It's a good sort of training race, and things like that over the winter, really good, like long 20-mile races are good. And then quite a bit of wrecking when you can get to the Lake District or Wales.
And when you say 10 hours Saturday, 10 hours Sunday, is there any structure to that? Is there an effort level? Is it super social? Like, is it just 10 hours on your legs? Doesn't really matter what it's made up of.
10 hours would sort of be 2 legs of the Bob Graham, so maybe like Dunmail to Wasdale and back again. Hopefully on some sort of pace, so I'd be timing the splits so that if I'm wrecking, I don't try and stay on the splits, but it's just to give me a good indication, so that when I look at the schedule, I know I can see complete obvious errors in the schedule, and then follow that up. So that's, you're not talking huge distances, so 25 miles.
How much elevation? A lot.
3.5,
Yeah.
1,000 metres, yeah.
Yeah, metres, not feet. That's another question from the floor. Right at the back.
If the adversity of the cancer give you extra fuel to help with the attempt, you sort of use that adversity to almost become invincible. No, you can do it.
Great question. So did the adversity of going through the cancer journey did it fuel you at all for the challenge?
I think so if I get a challenge now, I try and set to and attempt it. So because I don't think I'm going to be here maybe 10 years or whatever. So the cancer does make me sort of realise that if there's something I want to do in life, then not being totally selfish about it, but if you can put it in, then do rearrange your life and get on with it. And then also when I am feeling down, it isn't as bad as having cancer. When you're feeling really, really low, it's still a lot better being out there on the hills feeling a bit sick than it is actually being sick in a hospital bed. So you're really lucky actually to be out there, and I do remind myself of that when it's tough.
I got the feeling though that because you said in the film something about choice. This is my choice to be out running,
Yeah.
and I'm choosing to be miserable on this bit, and cancer wasn't a choice. I think you quite enjoy. I get the impression that you quite enjoy the miserable side of climbing up the fells in the terrible weather. And if I said you could never do that again, I think you'd be quite annoyed with me.
Yeah. But I don't like being miserable when I'm running. And usually when I'm running, as soon as I start feeling a bit grumpy, I think, right, what's wrong? And it's usually a bit of sugar. I need a bit more sugar to the brain. Because usually I am fairly happy when I'm running.
But I guess that's kind of my point. I think you're enjoying the misery of being out there and battling the elements and achieving something that nobody else has, nearly.
Yeah, pushing myself to the limits that what I'm capable of.
Another question from the floor, the bob or the double bob? Dave?
Do you have to provide any kind of proof as you go
What are you saying?
in terms of
What are you saying, Dave? Hang on a minute, there's a film.
photos or
So the question is, do you have to find any proof?
For the Bob Graham, you do need to have somebody sign that you've been to the top of every top. So they don't accept self-supported rounds because even if you're wearing a tracker, they won't accept it because they want somebody to sign that you know that they've seen you. So you need somebody to support you all the way round and see that you've been to the top of everyone.
Because it's a pretty exclusive club, isn't it? Just doing one Bob Graham, like you know, I know loads of people who have tried and failed to do it. I know quite a few people who have tried and done it, and it's an amazing kind of athletic achievement just to complete the one within 24 hours, and you become really part of. It's quite can't think of the word, but there's a great level of respect, isn't there, amongst people who have done it.
Yeah.
We've all got your certificates on the walls.
Yeah.
And there's another question here.
What's your dog called?
Oh, my dog's called Wisp.
One more, Steve, before we move on.
Clearly you've got your heroes that you look up to, or you have looked up to in the past. How does it now feel to be one of those that people look up to?
A bit strange, yeah, definitely. And sometimes, especially when I'm with Joss, I just think, no, I haven't done half as much as Joss. But then, yeah, I look up to a lot of people, well, everybody's normal and everybody's ordinary and everybody's also special. So I look up to people that attempting their sort of first park run or something, because they've still got themselves out of bed at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning when everyone else is in bed, and they've overcome that fear of doing something that they've never done and maybe being the worst at it, and they're there doing the park run. When I do a park run, I can't stop but wait and clap everybody else in at the back, and when I say well done, you know, I really mean it. You know, well done for having a go and wanting to better yourself and do that.
Amazing. Let's move on a little bit, and I'd really like to talk to you about the Berkeley Marathons, and I don't know how familiar people are with the Berkeley Marathons. I think you probably know an awful lot about it, so I'll get you to introduce it in a second. But my ignorant understanding, having only read about it or watched the film, is that it's the hardest foot race in the world. This is a challenge, not a race. So when we put it in the context of races, so it might be a marathon des Sables or a marathon or a Badwater or whatever it is. In the 30-odd year history, I think only 12 people have completed the Berkeleys, I think 15 times in total. You've been there and had a crack at it this year. Could you just tell people what the Berkeley Marathons is and what attracted you to it? And then I'd love to hear from you how it went.
I first heard about the Berkeley Marathons in the Dragon's Back when I was running for the 3 days with two Americans, well, one English guy, two Johns, and one of them had had a couple of goes at it, and they just kept saying, oh, it'd be perfect for you, and we discussed what it was, and it just, on the face of it, it's 100 miles of 5 loops of about 20 miles, and and a lot of climb, say 4,000 metres, I think, a loop or something, because it's not really a measured course, and Laz changes it. And on the face of it, it just sounded doable, and I was like, oh yeah. and then I did look into it a bit over the years though, and I actually thought, yes, I want a crack at this, but it's always in spring, which isn't a great time for me as a farmer, because it's always when we're calving cows, so I've never been able to even contemplate trying to get an entry or anything. Plus, at that time, I thought you've got 60 hours to do it, and I hadn't been through 2 nights without sleep, and so but after I did the Ramsey, I went through 3 nights without sleep, any sleep. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I was still awake. I don't think my brain thought I was ever going to get any sleep ever again. But anyway, so I actually thought last year I was capable of going without sleep for longer. And that's when I tried to get an entry, found out how to do it, and it's a really long, convoluted process to even get an entry, and then get in, and then get there, and then start.
Just to briefly, it's $1.60 to get in, is that right?
Yeah, it is, yeah, the entry.
But he only allows 40 people in a year?
40 people, and he gets about 500 applicants who manage to find out how to get.
And it's a secret, I don't know, it's a secret how you find out how to get in. And apparently, I was hearing that apparently if you tell somebody how to get in and you've got in, you lose your place to get in, so you kind of get kicked out forever if you tell anybody how to do it. And you have to take a number plate from your hometown, is that right? Yeah. Take a number plate from your hometown, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, so they call them virgins. The people that are new have to take the number plate. Veterans have to take something else, like a packet of cigarettes or whatever Laz wants. He drinks Dr. Peppers.
So just briefly, so you went there, obviously I'm guessing you went there to, did you go there more to learn about it and understand it than necessarily to go and complete it first time?
Yeah.
No woman's ever completed it, only 12 men have ever completed it in 30 years. Were you there to complete, or were you there to learn with maybe one eye on the future?
Well, initially I thought I could complete, but then when I looked into it a lot more, nobody's ever completed on their first attempt, because you don't know where you're going until the day before. Nobody will tell a virgin the route. So I only had a sort of a rough idea from a map that was about 13 years old. And I knew we go through the prison. But apart from that, you do a few other, there's a usual couple of climbs in the prison that you go through that's there every year. But apart from that, I had no idea. So I had to sort of approach it a bit like an orienteering event. So that the strategy is to go once and hang on to somebody, a veteran who knows where they're going, and then, or learn it the first year you go, and then if you get a chance to go back again, you've obviously got a little bit more of experience and you know where you're going. That will speed you up, which it should do. So
after your comment earlier about the leg 5 being the easy leg, how many legs did you manage of the Bob Graham? Not the Bob Graham, but the Berkeley Marathons.
Well, 1 1/3 loops.
Which is actually a phenomenal achievement, isn't it? I mean, it is a phenomenal achievement. Talk us through, because I think you did 11 and a half hours for the first loop, and there's a 12-hour cut-off per loop, and it's cumulative. At that point, how did you feel? You've got one loop down, you kind of understand it. What were you thinking at that point in terms of your ability to complete it?
Yeah, really happy. The first loop, although we set off at about 9:30 in the morning and it was hot. It was too hot, sweating buckets going up the first climb, but I stuck with it. Drank a lot, ate a lot. I met up with Stephanie Case, who'd done it before last year. And she was happy to have me, and there's a guy called Billy Reid from Ireland, and we've sort of latched onto her. Tried to help her out, but basically she knew where she was going and she didn't need help from us. But she enjoyed our company, and we got about a third of the way around, finding all the books really quite quickly, just working together, and it was all going really well. And we came down at about 9 o'clock at night, and I did ponder the question for about an hour of how I could broach the subject of going out again with Stephanie. And she said, when I did pluck up courage to ask her if I could come out with her again, she said yeah. And then she said she wanted to be in and out of camp in 15 minutes, which was pretty quick, but I thought I could do it. Well, I can do turnarounds quicker than that, but I'm not usually going out for 12 hours again. But yeah, we turned around really quick, and it was still really hot. I was in my short and t-shirts, and it was just hot, but I stuck some more clothes in my bag, and we all set off again. And that's when it got cold, really, really cold. We went up the first climb, and the showers were supposed to come in at 11 o'clock for a couple of hours. Well, they came in early. It was claggy, and it just got really cold. I haven't been caught out like that on the mountains for about 8 years. It's one of those where you just think, I'm stuffed. I just haven't got enough stuff. And I couldn't go any faster because we were working together as a team, and there wasn't any point because of trying to go any faster. So we just put all of us, we'd all fell into this trap of not taking enough stuff. We all had on everything that we had, and we were soaked. And the rain turned to snow, and it just kept going. It wasn't a shower at all. So we were just getting colder and colder, and we just got to a point where you can turn right to go back to camp, or you sort of go left and that's it. There is no other way back. You're doing the full loop, and would have been about 2 o'clock in the morning by now. And we were way behind time. There's no way we were going to complete that loop in the allocated 12 hours anyway. So yeah, because we were at book 6 and we had another sort of 7 books to get, but we were only about a third of the way around, so we decided that, well, and also I wasn't going to say I was calling it a do, because Stephanie had led us around the first loop, and to leave her wouldn't have been, I just couldn't have done that. So I did actually, I was wishing that she would say, let's call it a do, and when she did, I was like straight in there and be like, yes please.
We've heard about, in fact, let me just ask you one more question actually, and we did touch on this again before we started. So I get the impression you're keen to go back. I mean, we all follow, well I say we all, loads of people followed the rather cryptic Twitter feeds that were around the Berkeley Marathons.
There's another rule about, what's allowed out.
Yeah, people can't film out there, you support people can't go out there, it's all kind of super secret. But a number of us would have been following the social media during it and willing you on to do it, like a huge amount of support. Hopefully you felt that certainly when you got back, this huge support. Oh, we really think Nicky can do it, we really want to do it, we really want to cheer you on. And you've said nobody's ever done it on the first go. It's never. There's no shame whatsoever, of course, in not completing it on the first one. Do you feel like you'll go back?
I'll try and go back. Again, it's all the entry process and how Laz, which side of the bed he gets out of in the morning, I think. It's a lot. But it's nice. I mean, he's a nice character when you get to know him. He's just eccentric, but...
Yeah. Has it left you feeling, have you come away feeling more confident you could do it, or less confident you could do it, or more excited about it? Or?
I'm confident I could get further.
Yeah. The fun run is 3 laps, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
the fun run is 3 laps. Fun run.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what drives you, Nicky, because we've watched a film of you do the most incredible thing. I mean, that is just such a phenomenal challenge. We've just heard stories of you really having a great crack at the world's toughest foot race. You've just slipped in 3 nights with no sleep at the Ramsey Round. I mean, it's an incredible level of drive. And kind of before I'd seen the film, I'd expected you to have come from being born in the mountains and lived in the mountains, in a kind of Kilian type, hiking in the mountains when you're 2 type thing. But you came to it relatively late in that way. You talked about having a sedentary job and living down south and all that. Where does that drive to push yourself? And I feel like it came before the cancer diagnosis, that drive to push yourself really, really hard and see what your limits are. Like, where do you think that comes from?
I don't know really. But I was pushing myself before I got the cancer with the Paddy Buckley. Because I did the Bob Graham. And I think, like I say, it is natural to sort of do something and then, well, for me to like move on. So we'll see. I don't know where it comes from, and I like a change. You see, when I went to the double Bob Graham, it was because I'd done the Bob Graham record just for the second time and taken 6 minutes off my own time. And I didn't think I was getting any faster, so I just wanted to go slower. I thought I'd go for longer.
And any questions from whatever?
Obviously, Jasmine was there for you with your double BG. How would you feel about the opportunity to possibly work with her at Berkeley?
Oh, so
I know.
Jasmine Harris. So Jasmine was there at the double Bob Graham, and the question, just for the audio, the question was, how do you feel about working together at the Berkeley?
I would love that actually, because we do want a woman to get around the Berkeley, and if I'm not the woman, then I would love to encourage the woman that it is. Yeah, so if Jasmine, because Laz actually, after the spine, there was an interview with Laz about the Berkeley, and he mentioned Jasmine, but I'm not sure whether she'd go out and do it. I'd certainly try and help her. Yeah.
Sort of social media.
Yeah, there would be. Yeah, but I know Jasmine's list is longer than mine, and she's obviously capable of a lot more than I am.
We'd like a British woman to be the first woman to complete the Berkeley Marathon, wouldn't we? Yeah, that'd be pretty amazing. You mentioned a list there. Did I hear you say a list? Was there some? What else is on your list?
No, I can't say.
Yeah.
The Tour de Géants I've entered
Okay.
this year, well, for September.
Okay, just explain that. Explain that to us.
It's 300 kilometres, and it starts at Courmayeur. I haven't really looked into the route yet in depth. Sorry, everybody.
There's plenty of time. More questions from the floor. All the way at the back.
You've done the Bob Graham, would you ever do it again, or you see it as a mission accomplished?
The double or the double? Okay, so you've done the double Bob Graham.
No, I think I've done 5.
5 double?
No, 5 Bob Grahams.
Okay.
It's enough.
You're done with Bob. Yes. You're done with Bob. More questions from the floor. Right there.
What is it that makes the Berkeley so uniquely difficult?
What is it that makes the Berkeley so uniquely difficult? Great question.
There isn't one thing. It's the whole combination of what Laz throws into the sort of pot. So there's the whole thing about trying to get in it in the first place. And then because you only know a couple of months before the race that you're in, so you don't really have time to train. You've got to have trained before you even know you're in. And then there's the start time, so he's got like 12 hours to blow his conch, and then he lights the cigarette an hour later. So again, from like midnight on the day of the race till the midday the following day, you don't know in that period. And that, I was trying to get my head around that, and that really screws you with your brain. You can't get ready. You get all your stuff there, but we can't go to sleep so much because you don't know when you're going. So, and then not knowing where you're going, having to find the books. The navigation isn't too bad. It's a bit like any navigation here. But then when you get within about 100 metres of the book, they're in a tree stump, and there are a million trees.
So for people who don't know, you need to rip a page out of a book, is that right? At each checkpoint to show you've been there. And does the page number correspond to your race number?
Yeah, so you rip these pages out. So you need to be really careful with these pages, because if you lose one, that's it. If he counts 12 and you get back to the camp instead of 13, that's it, you're out. So there's so much sort of extra stress apart from just trying to run very fast and eat. You've got to carry all your own 12 hours worth of stuff. So I think as time goes on through the race, I mean, I didn't really suffer from sleep deprivation, but I should imagine that, just even if you've been to the checkpoint 4 times before, on the 5th time at the same checkpoint, you'll just think all the trees look the same, which they generally, or rocks, I think that would really, the sleep deprivation as you get further into the race is really going to play a big part in it. And then, I can go on. And then there's the...
apart from all of that.
And then he decides how many loops clockwise you're going to do and how many loops anti-clockwise you're going to do. And you can only pair up with... If me and Steph had stayed together for loops 1, 2, 3 and 4, on loop 5, whoever arrives first chooses which way they want to go. The next person has to go the other way. So you can't do the last loop together, so again you're on your own. So
he seems to do a really good job of balancing, creating this event that's completely bonkers, and he's completely bonkers, but he gets it just doable. So people, because you could easily make something, couldn't you, so impossible that you can't really do it, and it's a bit of a joke. But actually, it seems that he kind of, we were chatting before about, he seems to get it just right. I'm going to make it so hard you might be able to do it.
Yeah.
But that's it. It gives you a glimmer of hope. So
if the weather had been really nice the whole way round, and we'd set off on that second loop, managing to complete it, and if it had been cooler, I certainly would have been happier. And if we'd had, head torches that could have seen straight where we were going instead of sliding down banking, and also the terrain, So if ever you look at a bit, if you're running on a nice path and you look down towards a river, say, and it's all brambles and trees, that's where you'd have to go. And just that's all it is. It's just brambles and trees and very, very steep, like, climbs up and down. Like
And you're not allowed
4,000
GPS,
metres
is
in
that right?
24 miles it was.
So it's 20,000 metres of climbing in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60,000 feet. Oh, my word. Okay, we've got time for 3 more questions, I think. So, where are we? Okay,
I'm
again.
guessing the psychology of passing through the camp on each lap is really hard as well. You know, you've got to that point where you could potentially give up 4 times, haven't you? And going out again must be really tough.
Yeah. In fact, that's what my husband said, who was there. He said there was a number of people came in, looked completely fine, but just wouldn't go out again.
I get that.
Whereas I was actually, I felt fine. I think because the 3 of us had worked together, but I think that's me anyway. I don't tend to hang around at checkpoints in races. Yeah, I just went in. I knew I needed. I just ate as much as what I possibly could. Somebody said that about the film. How do I eat so much? I was actually quite hungry when I went.
That was like 2 full days, though, that film, wasn't it? I mean, it was only
And they did.
an hour
Obviously,
there.
they were there at the sort of support point, so they see me eating a lot. But actually, eating is important. Yeah, I spend a lot of time thinking or eating.
Okay, 2 more questions.
Can I ask, is there
Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't see you, but go for it.
how do you disassociate yourself from the pain, if indeed you do, when you're in pain or it's getting really tough?
Great question. So how do you disassociate yourself from the pain and the suffering when it's getting really tough, if you do?
I don't get quite a lot of pain really. I mean, I did get a knee pain on the Bob Graham. I can't remember. It was quite early on. I was quite worried about it. It was about then. I just started massaging it myself as I was going up the hill, and that got rid of that. I try and get rid of any pains I possibly can. I also got a few hot spots on my feet, and that's when I started changing my socks and putting Vaseline on them. So I think initially I try and get rid of the cause of the pain if I can. And then often, sometimes if I tweak an ankle early on and it's hurting me, I'll just think, well, I'm sure I won't be thinking about it when I start feeling sick, because I'll be thinking about that instead. I don't know, maybe just being very practical about the pain. I don't seem to feel a lot of pain actually. I feel a bit low sometimes, but then I do, again, I've tried to figure out why I'm feeling low and sort it out so I can carry on.
So, sorry, I'm listening in wonder. Like, we're all sitting there thinking we've been hurting like all over for the whole thing from the start. And like, I put a bit of Vaseline on my feet after about 85 miles, but apart from that, I felt fine. Amazing. Okay, final question.
So in order to not feel that pain, do you supplement your run training with strength and core and all those things, stretching? How much of your time do you spend on that kind of thing?
Great question.
Yeah.
Sorry, just great question for the audio. To supplement the actual running, do you do core strength? Do you do flexibility, mobility, strength training, that kind of stuff? Kind of cross training around your running.
I think the farming is quite good strength training and core training, yeah. But I do quite a lot of stretches, and I go and see a sports massage probably once every 3 or 4 weeks. And as soon as I get a niggle, I'll be straight down there to sort it out before it becomes a sort of big problem. But yeah, I think strength training is important. I learned about it on a running course, and I did do plyometrics for a while, but just fitting everything in as well as what you're doing. But stretches I have a little routine that I'll do from watching telly. I just tend to sit on the floor and do stretches as well.
You seem to be. You remind me a lot of the Brownlee brothers, who seem remarkably natural at what they do and very intuitive. So rather than, you seem very kind of strong-minded about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and you're not kind of worried about what other people are thinking or what other people are doing necessarily, but you just seem to have this natural ability to do the right thing for you. Is that fair?
I think listening to your body is quite important. And I do quite a lot of thinking. I never listen to music while I'm actually running. And sometimes even in the car I just think, I need to think a bit more about something and turn the radio off and just concentrate off his driving. But then it's a good time to sort of think things through, and that's why I like running as well. Go out and have a good think.
Fantastic. Well, I think we'll leave it there. We're just about right for time. It's been what a wonderful evening. What an amazing privilege. I was sitting down there watching the film earlier thinking, I can't believe how lucky I am to be sitting here watching the film in a room of great people, sat right next to Nicky Spinks herself. Absolutely amazing. So let's finish just with giving our thanks to Nicky.